just a quick video because I haven't made one for a month and I need to talk about this. Is the tuition fee protests of the United Kingdom at the moment. Basically, in the new Conservative Liberal Democrat government, tuition fees have been risen up to almost triple, something like that, and the public sector spending has been cut down. And because it's mainly a conservative government, everyone's like blaming the conservatives, saying, "Oh, they're just trying to, do everything for the rich." But people don't fully understand that the easiest thing to cut is the public sector and just education in general, that type of stuff. Everything in the public sector, making things, a bit more expensive. The universities become a bit more soul dependent. They don't need to be dependent on the government as much with higher fees and everything. They become much more business-like, I guess, but the universities won't even make that much of a profit. They just won't get as much help from the government. God, though, the main thing that I have is that, I don't support this at all because I think the government is doing the smart thing, even though it's not the moral thing, because the moral thing isn't always the right thing to do or the most logical thing to do. At the moment, we have a deficit. It needs to be paid, and we 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 need to get into a good economic growth. See, a lot of figures are going like, oh, we don't own that much when compared to these years and everything. It's not that huge. They don't understand economics. They just look at the little statistics things that look very factual and like, see, it's not that bad. We don't need to do it. They don't understand like economic growth. A normal economic growth for the United Kingdom or one of the top world countries, a leading world power, is supposed to be at least 3% on average, at least. And we're not that, or at least the GDP is supposed to be much higher. At the moment, the GDP of our country is around 0.5%. We're barely in a boom, barely at the moment. And I'm sorry if I got all of those figures wrong. I'm doing this from memory from around 6 months ago when I did my economics exam, so I could be wrong, of course. Please don't try and call me out on that. I'm just voicing an opinion. But the main problem I have is that they don't understand economics, but they think they know better. They blame the bankers, which they should. The bankers are the ones who kind of got us into the shit that we are in. But they blame the bankers and then expect the bankers not to know anything or the top economists that they don't know anything about economics because they messed up. They do know about economics and they're trying to sort things out. They really are. They're trying their best and they're not going to be liked for it. They're going to be hated for the rest of their lives, probably. Now, back to the point, of course, of this is the replacement argument the protesters are saying, instead of rising tuition fees and cutting money in the public sector, is introduce progressive taxes. Progressive taxes is basically the more money you get, more tax here and there, and blah blah blah. Please just go ahead and research it on the internet or look up in a book. I'm not going to explain progressive taxes. I may one day because I like economics, even though I'm not doing that at university. I'm doing archaeology and classical studies. The problem with trying to introduce progressive taxes now is that you would have to hire whole new departments in taxation and all these areas just to get them started. They're not looking at it like, look, that's going to create employment, sure, but it's also going to create a lot of money. It's actually counterproductive, that. Incredibly, and also they're thinking it will be very instant, that. They're thinking that it will be done in, 6 months or a year, yeah, which is pretty soonish. No, it's not going to be done like that. It will probably take at least 2 years to get progressive taxing done to a good amount. It's easier to cut things and rise, fees because they're very simple. It doesn't require a lot. It doesn't require a whole new system to work upon. Progressive taxes would require a whole new system. A whole new system will require a lot more employers. It would require teaching people how to work with the new system. It would cost a huge amount of money just to get progressive taxing working. Now, I'm not saying progressive taxing is a bad thing. No, it's a very good thing. It's very fair. I am a libertarian. I believe everyone has I believe in liberty and, voicing your own opinion and all of that. But in the end, it's not very realistic at the moment. We don't have the time, or we don't have the resources. We don't want to risk it. Because if you want to play the risky game, you would, God, it'd just be mad. You could go into a double dip recession. And I really do blame newspapers a lot here, because a lot of newspapers are very right wing and very left wing, and they side with different policies and everything, and then they just throw out random economic statistics, which people would understand because it says it, but because you don't understand economics to a full degree, you don't have like an economics degree, or not doing economics A level, you don't actually understand it to the complete true degree that it's supposed to be, and that's the problem with it. A lot of teenagers are taking in this information, thinking it's true, and not questioning it, because teenagers work on a more moral-based idea. They haven't lived as long, and they work on morals. They work on what's good and what's wrong, which is a nice thing. But also, a huge problem with this is no one protested anything. None of these kids protested anything else about the cuts. All they did was protest the university cuts. University rise in fees and public sector cuts. Where were they with all the other cuts? Where was all the protest for everything else? It's whenever someone gets directly affected by something do they protest about something. It's rare when people just protest something that is incredibly wrong. Tuition fee rises isn't that wrong. It's not that bad. I'm from a very low income family at the moment, with debts caused by my father that my mother has to pay for, and I'm still going to uni. I'm not complaining about the tuition fees because I don't give a damn. I'm happy enough going to university because I have the privilege of being able to go to good universities. There's a lot of countries out there who don't get that privilege, and yet we take this education for granted. Completely for granted. Yes, of course, we're a leading country in the world. We should, have higher degree and everything, but so fucking what? We need to make money. We need to make cuts. Blame the Tories. Hate them for all I care. I don't. I don't care about that. It's just that people don't understand, and they think they're right because of it. They don't understand the full story. And they just think they're doing it because they're bastards. They're not doing it because they may be bastards, but they're not doing it because they're bastards. They're doing it because it's the easiest and most simplest way of making getting out of the deficit. Fucking hell. Bloody teenagers.